Welcome to the Age of Awakening.
Please identify yourself. Enter.
Hey, Triple P Nation, welcome back to the podcast. It's another week for us to explore the tools, tactics, and strategies to help you achieve personal and business mastery. And look, as we enter a new year, I know so many of you have set goals. Clarify your desire. You know exactly what you want to accomplish. You want to know exactly what your life is going to look like 12 months from now. And the fact that you're starting to work backwards, putting in place some strategies to make things happen and to achieve the results that you want. And you know what? That's what winners do. And I would expect nothing less from each and every one of you. And so this week, I've got a guest to help you in that process. His name is Dennis Henson. And Dennis is an incredible individual in the sense that he's been in business for over 35 years, an incredible real estate investor. He now sells courses for help people to get started in real estate. But what really captured my attention with Dennis is his passion for personal growth. And very similar in the sense that he understands that growing people grow businesses, and that if you don't work on you, the chance of you achieving those goals and desires that we had talked about just a second ago really become limited. Because if you bring the same attitude with the same energy and the same mentality of things that you've tried in the past and have not been successful with, the results are you're probably going to have the same outcome. So until we change who we are, till we change our energy, till we change our thoughts, our beliefs, and our habits, the outcome doesn't change. So the precipice is change, right? I wrote my book, Change Your Mind, Change Your Destiny. So until you accept that change is something to embrace and change is good, and as we begin to learn and grow and to begin to shed and add the habits and behaviors that's going to help us accelerate our life to new levels, you're just not going to achieve it. So if you think about right now, here we are in January of 2025. Think about 12 months ago. Has your life grown? Have you achieved the goals that you set forth in 24? And if you have, congratulations. Many of you have. I know why, because I talk to you. You send me emails, you send me texts, you send me all kinds of messages telling me about the breakthroughs that you have. And I couldn't be more proud or happy for each and every one of you. But for others, you haven't. So the question becomes why? Well, one reason could be is that, you know what? The goal that you set is really not the goal that you want to achieve. It sounded good, really sounded exciting, but it isn't your highest desire. And more importantly, you never really attached the experience and the emotion of what it was going to be like when you achieved that goal. So you had nothing to anchor to hang on to. So naturally then, it's easy to give up on those goals. So that's one reason. Another one is we didn't really know how to achieve it, or we didn't seek out the people who can help us and mentor us and show us how to do it. That happens far too often. We think, I got to go it alone. I'll figure it out on my own. And you know what? And some do, most don't. I've often said success is a team sport. And so when we bring on smart people smarter than us who've achieved what we want, the fact is that we're going to get where we want to go way faster. We're going to save time, money, energy, and resources to get there and to get what it is that we want to experience. So that's another reason. Another reason is that we get stuck in our limiting beliefs or limiting thoughts. We set forth, we had good intentions, but right away, the chirping in the ear starts, the resistance starts to show up. And again, without proper support and the network around you to help you get through it, it's easy to succumb to our old habits or old thinking patterns. So that's another reason. But the fact remains is that if you are going to get to where you want to go, there has to be change, and sometimes radical change. There has to be a self-awareness, looking in the mirror and acknowledging, you know what? I just haven't figured it out yet. Now, another reason a lot of times we don't achieve the goals we want is that lack of self-awareness. Because if you have your highest desire so clarified, and you've attached the emotion of experiencing what it's going to feel like when you get there, which are two critical elements, even not knowing how to get there becomes less of an issue. Because when you have aligned energy with aligned desire, the universe will begin to show you and present opportunities and give you basically the roadmap of how to get there. That's why I say always knowing the how is not that important. The how is what shows up when you have aligned desires and aligned energy. So my conversation with Dennis today talks a lot about that. And it talks about his book. And I'm excited because his book is called Real Impact Daily Inspirations, something I've been working on for a long time. I know you guys are going to find it really inspirational. You're going to want to run out and get it and support Dennis, and more importantly, support yourself on your path in 2025. Now, let's start, of course, before we bring Dennis on, with our success snack this week, and that is invest in skills and not just stocks. So really talks about what we're talking about here today. Guys, your brain, your mind is your best ROI. So if you're not feeding it with the right conversations, the right books, podcasts, mentors, experiences, you're not enriching your mindset and your brain with the kind of energy and the kind of knowledge that's going to inspire you to move in a different and act in a different way. So I've often said you need to take about 10% a year of your net earnings and set aside for personal growth. It's like, well, wait, Jay, if I make $100,000 and I take home $65,000, I should put $6,500 away and invest in my own personal growth? Yeah, I am actually. Okay. So whether that is personal coaching, whether that is buying books, doing seminars, going on a retreat with like-minded professionals, you need to invest in you. And the more you invest in yourself, that's the highest rate of return you'll get on any investment you ever make in your lifetime. Maybe not as much as Bitcoin, but pretty damn close. The ROI on personal growth, in my experience, is about 20%. So the amount of money that you invest in yourself is going to feed back 20. And that's, by the way, that's 20% annually. So think about it. What are you doing right now to invest in yourself? Of course, you're listening to the podcast, but what else can you be doing? Okay. So listen, sit back, enjoy my interview with Dennis, and we're going to talk a lot about the stuff that, about this personal growth. And we'll talk a little bit about the real estate industry as well, too. And I know a lot of you guys are interested in that. So enjoy my interview. My guest this week is Dennis Henson, and he has a career of singular achievement. And currently, he's the founder and president of Vanguard Marketing and Investments, and a renowned leader and educator in both real estate and personal growth, which is right in my lane, guys. You know that for sure. I love both personal growth and real estate. And just as he has personally done for a lifetime, his core philosophy is that he uses to inspire thousands of business people and leaders who desire more out of life, and has led to his profound new book, Real Impact Daily Inspiration. So Dennis, welcome.
Thank you, Jay. I appreciate you having me today.
Absolutely. So obviously you've been doing this for quite some time. How did you get into because real estate and personal growth, yes, they're similar tracks, but not typically. How did you kind of meld these two together?
Well, I started a real estate investing group because there was not one here in Arlington, Texas. I had to drive to Dallas or Fort Worth. And a lot of investors came together, and I was doing very well investing in real estate, and I hadn't intended to do any training or teaching. One of the members of the group came and he said, "Look, Dennis, I'm retiring. And as soon as I retire in about 3 weeks, you're going to teach me how to do this." And I respectfully declined. I said, "No, I'm not really into teaching. I'm busy doing my real estate, and it's doing very well." And he said, "You didn't understand what I said. I said, I'm retiring in about a month, and you're going to teach me how to do this." And I tried to be nice, and he said, "Well, let me take you to lunch." So he took me to a Whataburger and bought me a hamburger. And then when we finished eating, he said, okay, let's talk business. And I told Norma, my wife, before I left that I was not going to do this. So he pulled out his checkbook and he said, okay, what's this going to cost me? And I was just pushing away. He turned it over. He signed the check, turned it over, and said, fill it in. And I thought, well, okay, I'll put a number there that I'm pretty sure he will not pay. He didn't even look at it. He just tore the check out and handed it to me and had my first student. So over the next 15 years, I had 400 students, and they all did very, very well. And so because of that, a lot of investing gurus that had podcasts would invite me on, and they'd ask me different questions about real estate, but mostly they wanted to know why my students were so successful. So one of them one day said, if you could tell my audience one thing that you teach your students that helps them become more successful than the other students, what would the one thing be? And I said, well, I have my students change their habits. If they can form the habit or positive, if they can form success habits, it's hard to fail. And he says, well, what's the number one success habit that you would teach them? And I said, well, if they'll form the habit of reading something every day, and here's where the connection comes in. If they'll form the habit of reading something every day that moves them toward whatever their goal is, their goal could be to be a medical doctor, to read about medicine. It could be to be an attorney, and they'll read about law. All of my students at the time, they wanted to become a real estate investor. So I had them read books about real estate investing every day. And I made sure they did because I gave them an assignment. You have to read this book. And then when we came back to the next lesson, they had to discuss it with me, and I could tell in a minute whether they had read or not. So when I got home, I was thinking, that was the right answer. That's really the reason my students have been successful, because I put them on the track of education and knowledge. I thought, wouldn't it be great if there was some kind of a tool, an app or a book or something to help people form that habit of reading every day? And then I thought, I can do that. Part of my training, and on my training website, there's a motivational section, and it has stories about people who struggled, but they hung in there and they made it work. And I had been collecting poems for 45 years. And anytime I heard a powerful quote, I met Jim Rohn when I was a young man, and he was a young man. And he talked about journaling. So I started journaling back in the 70s because of Jim Rohn. And I had all these poems and quotes, and I thought, I can just put all these together in a book. And people can use that as a tool to learn how to form the habit of reading every day. I thought, I haven't got it all together. I'll put it in the book, and in 3 months, I'll publish the book, and we'll go from there. But this was in 2019, and earlier this year, the book got published. So it took me 5 years because I had to take a lot of the stories out. I had hundreds of stories. I had to pick out the best ones, and putting together the poems and the quotes, and then getting permission. A lot of the things required permission to use them, but I got to meet some really interesting people while I was putting that together. So anyway, that's how it all came about. So now that anybody, it doesn't matter if they're a real estate investor, it doesn't matter what it is, whatever their goal is, it could be religious, it could just be to do better, to reach a certain amount of money, to live a certain kind of life. It doesn't matter what it is. If you'll read something every day that moves you in that direction, it won't be long before you'll be wherever it is that you want to be.
I couldn't agree more. And I've always said that growing people grow businesses, or at very least, they're on the track, as you had mentioned, towards achieving the goals and living the life that they desire. And it's not by accident. It's by design, intelligent design, divine design. And so it's wonderful that you learned that so early. Um, you're the first person I've ever met who actually, well, maybe the second person who's actually worked with and knew Jim Rohn. Of course, Jim Rohn was Tony Robbins' mentor as well too. And so Jim has helped countless people on their journey with his writings and teachings and such. So it sounds to me that when you set out to provide the tools, the course, the insight to teach people wanting to get involved in becoming a real estate investor, that you started with the headspace first. You started with opening up their minds to concepts, these success habits.
When I was first getting into business back in 1975, I joined a large sales company, and the vice president of the company's name was Jack McConico. Now, there were hundreds of people in this company. Jack was the vice president, and he took me under his wing and brought me into his office and lectured me. He said, "I see potential in you, and I want to tell you some things." So he started telling me about these laws of nature. He said, "Dennis, there are certain laws that if you live within these laws, your life is going to be easy. You'll be successful. You'll be able to reach goals and do things that other people can't do. But if you go against these laws, it's going to be really hard." And most people don't even know the laws exist. So at some point during that lecture, I raised my hand and said, "Jack, stop." He said, "Why?" I said, "I'm sold. Give me the book. Where's the book? I want to read about these laws of nature." And he laughed and he said, "Well, no, it's not in any one book. You have to search it out. It's in lots of books." So at that time, this was in 1975, I said, "I'm going to search it out, but I'm also going to write that book." And it's funny, you said, get your mind right. That's the first one of the laws of nature. That's the first one. You have to get your mind right first. The book I'm writing is called, and I started writing it at 75 and I haven't finished it yet, but I'm close. It's called The 7 Secrets of Success. And the first secret of success is getting your mind right. Henry Ford said, if a fellow believes he can do something, he's probably right. If a fellow believes he can't do something, he's probably right. So the first step in success is believing that what you're going to do will become successful eventually. If you don't have a burning desire, and if you don't have faith, you don't believe it's going to work, your chances are very low that you're going to actually reach that. And it's funny that you brought that up. The underlying of this book, Real Impact Daily Inspiration, the underlying theme of this book is desire, faith, will, and action. Desire is always the first step in any endeavor. If you do not have a desire, you've probably read Think and Grow Rich, right?
Many times.
Napoleon Hill. Okay. Well, all the way through the book, he says, now there's this thing that's going to make you successful, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but if you read the book, you'll uncover it. And I don't know that he ever came out and said, this is what it is. So I'm going to tell you right now, if you read Think and Grow Rich, I'm going to give you the underlying theme, and it's this. The people who succeed have a burning desire. That's the very first and most important thing. If you have a burning desire to succeed, that will overcome many, many obstacles. You'll get knocked down over and over. Anybody that's attempting something big is going to experience some failure and have some mistakes. But if you have a burning desire, faith, and will, that gives you the strength to get back up when you're not down. So anyway, I hope that's the answer to that question.
No, absolutely. It was great. I thought you were going to go on further. So you talked about desire, faith, will, and what was the fourth one you said?
Action. I live in Arlington, Texas, and the airport's DFW, and I live in Arlington. So it was easy for me to remember what I was doing because it's desire, faith, and will, DFW, and then action is the A for Arlington. So I have to use acronyms to keep up with. I'm working on so many different things. But anyway, that's the underlying theme of this book, The Real Impact. You see the lamp?
I love it. Yes.
A lot of people ask me, why do you have a lamp on the front of the book? Well, if you'll go to realimpactbook.com, the very first tab says the mystery of the lamp. So now you got to go to my website to get the answer to that one. And it's so I'm planting a seed in your mind so that you'll want to go see the website and find out one of the lamps on the front of the book. And while you're there, scroll. Once you click on the page comes up, you'll scroll all the way to the bottom. There's a link that said podcast attendees. That's you. If you're watching this, if you click on that link, you get the ebook for free. I'll just send you the ebook. No strings attached. I'll just give you the ebook because you came and attended this podcast.
Thank you, Dennis. I appreciate you doing that. And what a great tease to go find out what the lamp means. I love it. So how does Real Impact differ from other inspiration and motivational books? Because obviously there's millions. I wrote one, so there's so many out there. How does it differ?
Well, it's not like any of the others. This is not a typical book. It's not meant to be, you don't pick it up and read it. In fact, one of the first pages says it's not meant to be read all the way through. You get bored. I mean, it's not that kind of book. It's the kind of book that you pick it up and read a little bit. There's so much in it until you hit something that moves you. And then you contemplate that. You've done your reading for the day. To form the habit of reading every day doesn't mean you have to read a chapter or a book or even a paragraph. You just need to read something every day that motivates you and moves you toward your goal. So this book is set up in such a way where if you have 30 minutes, you can read a short story. If you have 5 minutes, you can read a poem. But if you get home and you've worked all day and you're exhausted and you hit the bed and you say, oh, I didn't keep my habit of reading. There's quotes in the back. Two words, 3 words, 5 words, a quote. You read one of those motivational quotes and then contemplate that as you're going to sleep. This book will change your life. But what if you have 2 hours? Well, you don't want to read this book for 2 hours. So in the back of the book, I kept a list of the books that moved me the most over the last 50 years, and I prioritized them. This one did the most, all the way down to 100. There's more than 100 books listed in the back. So you keep that as a companion book. So if you're at the airport and you have 3-hour layover, or 4, or overnight, you read the other book. You read The Think and Grow Rich, or The Greatest Salesman in the World, or Success, the Glenn Bland Method. You read something else that was meant to be read all the way through. But this book is unique. And the people who have read it and commented on it that realized what it meant, the comments on Amazon are just amazing. I hope everybody will go to Amazon and read the comments, and that will motivate them even more to go and get the book. But the best thing about the book is this, not what it does for you, but what you can do for someone else, a young person graduating from high school or from college, or just someone you love and you want to help their life become better, or even older people that are in nursing home. The stories in this book are about people that everybody knows. Hershey, Disney, Schwarzenegger, people that everybody knows. But what they don't know is all of the struggles these people went through. Abraham Lincoln, the struggles he went through to become president of the United States. Well, the name of the story, the Lincoln story, is Providence. And the question is, was this Providence? Or was he just lucky? Well, Lincoln was not lucky. Nobody would think that. So the stories are super interesting. And, you'll read one and you think, I can't wait until tomorrow to read another one. And someone asked me one time, well, how did you know your stories would be interesting to people? And I started out with interesting stories. I mean, I couldn't fail. I picked stories that were already interesting, and then I did research and made them better. And even better than that, I started out with 100 stories, and I picked the 40 best ones, so they're even better. So anyway, I think everybody will enjoy the stories in the book, and the poems are gripping. I mean, these poems were taken. I've attended numerous seminars and read numerous books from the most successful and motivational people that's lived in the last century, or even I've read books from people further back, and I've taken quotes and poems from those that moved me over the years and put them in here. And I promise you, they'll move you too. I mean, these are very powerful poems and quotes.
So then how does Real Impact Daily Inspiration, how does it empower the reader, right? How does it move them in a way in their lives and to affect them, not only themselves, but the people that they serve in their communities?
Well, Zig Ziglar once said, a little adds up to a lot, little by little. He said, if a person will read 20 minutes a day on a 200-page book, in a year they will have read 20 books, which is 19 more than the average person. Now, if you don't think that'll set you apart, if you're reading the right stuff, and you're feeding it into your computer mind every day, day after day, year after year, it's going to change the trajectory of your life. For example, there's a lot in the news right now. I think Elon Musk is planning to send a rocket ship to Mars. Okay. What if he's off 1 degree? How far do you think he would miss Mars if he was off by 1 degree? Well, the answer's hundreds of thousands of miles, maybe even millions of miles. Okay. The trajectory of your life is the same. If you can just affect it a little bit, it can have a tremendous impact on the final product.
It's a great point. It's so true, right? Aim small, miss small. You miss the mark. So, what was the most challenging part of writing the book for you? Was it collating the stories and then deciding of the 100 that you chose, narrowing it down to 40?
Yes, that was the hardest part because they were all good. They were all my babies. I mean, I struggled with which ones to let go. And the only way I was able to move forward was I said, okay, I'm going to write Real Impact 2 and start with most of these stories. And so actually working on Real Impact 2, Real Impact 3, and the 7 Secrets of Success. So I'm working on 3 more books as we speak. Plus I've written a sequence of books on real estate. I've already finished those. They're in the editing and formatting process, but I have 3 more motivational self-help books coming up. But you hit it right on the head. The hardest part was saying, I have a daily list and I write down the things I plan to do. And one day I came in and my daily list said, remove the Lincoln story. It was not very long. It was about a page and it only told one little item. And I thought, well, I hate to take Lincoln out because he was such an interesting person. At the time I was writing the book, there had been over 16,000 books written on Lincoln. Now I think it's closer to 18. But I mean, he's an interesting guy. So I did a little research and I found something that really piqued my interest where had this not happened, he couldn't have been president. And I thought, wow, that was really close. I wonder if there were more. And so I started researching, and I found another and another and another. I found 20 different things where had things just gone a little bit different. For example, he worked on flatboats when he was in his 20s. And he was very strong, and he loaded the flatboats, and he was in Illinois, and they put him in the Mississippi River and floated down to New Orleans. On one of those trips, the flatboat marooned in a little town. Now, that was an 800-mile trip, 1,600 miles both ways. The flatboat marooned on the only city in the entire route where there was a debate club. So the owner of the flatboat said, I'm going to come back here and open the general store. And he said, Lincoln, do you want to come and work with me? And he said, yes. And so Lincoln ended up in that little town where there was a debate club. And that's the reason that we know Lincoln today. That got him into politics. That got him into his oratory. And it was just amazing the different things that happened like that, where had the flatboat not marooned on that little sandbar, we probably wouldn't even know the name Lincoln today. That's pretty amazing. And there's 20 of those, and they're all amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, and the course of history would have changed, obviously been dramatically different, and the Lord knows only how much, right? So what are your thoughts on the role of daily rituals? Things I've been talking about for years, that there are certain success habits that can reshape, rewire your mind and change you from, someone who is challenged by negative beliefs or limiting beliefs, or stuck in fear, want, scarcity. How important is it for people to have daily rituals and habits to build the type of mindset that becomes the foundation for their success?
Well, I think it's very important. One of my daily rituals, I call it taking vitamin G. Have you heard of vitamin G?
I have not.
Okay. Well, vitamin G, let me tell you what vitamin G can do for you. It lowers your blood pressure, reduces stress, anxiety, and depression. It enhances sleep quality, improves relationships, improves your physical well-being, and boosts your mood. So that's a pretty important vitamin, but you don't get it by taking it. You get it by a daily ritual called gratitude. That's vitamin G, because you cannot be sad. You cannot be worried. You cannot be depressed if you're feeling gratitude. So one of the things I do is I list all of the things I can think of and add to them all the time that I'm grateful for. So one of my daily rituals, in addition to reading and walking and the other things, is I go through all those things, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful to be alive. I'm thankful to be healthy. I'm thankful that I have this book and for these podcasts. I mean, it just goes on. I'm a wonderful family, precious dog. I even have a grand dog I'm thankful for, my daughter's dog. So gratitude is a wonderful thing, and it will cure a lot of illness. It will cure a lot of the things that people get depressed and they're worried. The Bible says 365 times. Isn't that amazing? Exactly 365 times. Don't be afraid. That's one for every day of the year. Don't be afraid. And that's a pretty good place to learn from.
I love it, especially here as we're entering a new year, and people are searching for meaning. They're searching for purpose. They're setting goals. Hopefully you're not setting, not you, Dennis, but my listeners, hope you're not doing your New Year's resolution, because it's an absolute waste of time. We're talking about real meaningful goals, as Dennis, you had mentioned earlier, right? there has to be an action plan in place with a clear sense of desire of what it is that you want to accomplish. And then you align that desire with the emotion and the feeling of what it'd be like once you achieve it, provides this a sense of leverage to help you to overcome the obstacles ultimately that are going to come in your way. Because anything worth pursuing, there's always going to be obstacles. It's just a reality. I've never experienced it. Maybe Dennis, you have. You can inform me that, there's a trajectory where there's just straight ahead and there's no headwinds. I don't know if that exists.
I don't believe it does. All the things that I write, I have to do with people who overcame the obstacles that were in their path. That's what's exciting, is watching them overcome. The super successful people make the obstacles stepping stones. They just learn from this, dust off your pants, get up, don't make that mistake again, and move forward.
I think that's such an important point as we set goals, is that as I began to shift my mindset about obstacles and challenges, I used to meet them with resistance. And of course, when you meet anything with resistance, you're going to get resistance back. So, it's just basically putting your head up against the wall, hoping the wall move, and that's not going to happen. But then a coach and mentor taught me, said, Jay, change your perspective, change your mindset about obstacles. I said, what do you mean? He goes, embrace them, accept them as a way for you to learn and grow and to become better. And when I did that, all the obstacles, not that I didn't have anymore, they just didn't seem as significant as they did originally, because I was giving gratitude for those obstacles, because it was going to make me stronger and better, build my character and help me become more resilient and grit and all those things, necessary to be successful. So I think that's a really important lesson for people as they're setting new goals, is to change your perspective around struggles and obstacles. And guess what? Your results will change when you meet them.
One of the quotes in the back of the book says, embrace your failure because it's your best teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Embrace failures because they're your best teachers. So, and that's true. Early on in my career, I can't remember who said this, but it's helped me a lot. Anytime I'm facing something that looks insurmountable, it said, look over the fence. Don't look at the fence. Always look over the fence, because that's where you're going. You're not going into the fence. You're not going into the obstacle. You're going past that. So always look past the fence. And if you keep your eyes on the goal there, the fence won't stop you.
So Dennis,
I know some cows that do that.
Yeah, exactly. In your long professional career in business, what was one of the biggest obstacles you had to overcome to stay your course?
Well, of course. I mean, I've been in business since 1975. I've failed and failed and failed. I've had a number of, business failures that were staggering, devastating. And it's what you do after that determines what's going to happen to you. You get knocked down. Well, you can either stay there and just say, okay, I'm a failure, I'm a loser, nothing's ever going to work out. Or you can do what the people in this book do. You can get up, dust yourself off, which I've done many times, and start over. So it would be rare that you met someone that was a very successful business person that's had wonderful success. If you really sat down and talked with them, you'd find that many times in their life they had devastating failures that would cripple most people. And, those people would probably not get up, but they got up and went again. And that's really what this book is about. That's what the stories in Real Impact Daily Inspiration is about. How amazing it was that these people got hit so hard and pushed down so low. For example, who would have thought that Walt Disney would be one of those people who just got knocked down over and over and over and just came this close to losing everything several times? He almost lost his life a couple of times. Yet everybody knows the name Disney today, and very few people think he's a failure, although he had some serious, I mean, it's fun for me to read about him and see how he was able to come up. At one time in his life, he wanted to be a cartoonist. He started the first cartoon studio in Hollywood, and he had experienced some success, and he was becoming world famous because of his character. And an unscrupulous businessman stole all of his characters and hired all of his staff. So he had nothing. He was devastated. And so he was in New York. He found out that he'd lost everything, and he and his wife got on a train and was coming back to California. And that's when he came up with Mickey Mouse. At the lowest point he'd experienced in his life, he came up with a thing that made him world famous, super, even more famous than he had been in the past. So it's fun to read about these people, especially if you know their name and had no clue that they had gone through so much. It makes you respect them an awful lot more, and respect what it took for them, the kind of will and courage for them to just get up and keep going.
I think biographies are such an invaluable resource to learn about the challenges that people have gone through, what they've overcome, and staggering, obstacles. I'm a fan of biographies, and I think that we really expand our own mindset. We expand that concept of what's possible when we think of our own meager existence, and you think what other people had to go through, like, holy smokes, it's nothing compared. My life is nothing compared to what they had to overcome. It provides a little bit of perspective. So I'm sure your book is going to absolutely, and it already has been, incredibly successful because of that, because it does give some sort of clarity and perspective on that. So, Dennis, this has been a really great conversation. I'm very grateful for you to come on, tell us about your book, Real Impact, Daily Inspiration. So once again, why don't you tell my audience about your website, where they can go to download, and also the free ebook, or where they can purchase the book?
Well, you can get the book on Amazon. You can just search Dennis J. Henson or Real Impact, Daily Inspiration. That's the paperback. If you want the hardcover book, you need to go to realimpactbook.com. And it's an interesting website. It's got lots of different things for you to check out, and you can purchase it. And we're having a Black Friday special. I don't know when this will, but every month we have a special. So you can check down on the left-hand corner for this month's special. So there's always a way to get more books or buy them for less. And it makes it kind of fun. If you're looking for a gift, you couldn't give a better gift to a graduate from high school or college, or a holiday gift or a birthday gift, or even if you're planning a wedding. A lot of times it's hard to think, well, what are you going to give the groomsman? Well, this is a great gift. And this hardcover book, I spared no expense. This book is printed by the second largest printing company in North America, the same printing company that did Harry Potter. But I got the nicest cover. I got the best paper. I had an artist come in and do the artwork. It's in full color. I don't know if you can see that, but this is a nice gift. When you hand this someone and they feel it, they know, wow, that's amazing. And people don't throw books away. If you're a grandparent, you want to give your grandchild something that's a legacy gift, it's going to last for their lifetime. They'll never forget you. So go to realimpactbook.com, then scroll down to the bottom and get your free ebook. And I hope you will, and also hope that you'll leave me an Amazon review. That really would help get the word out. And one other thing I need to mention is there's one link that says help the children. I want to get this book out to disadvantaged neighborhoods and small schools that can't afford to get this kind of book for their library. So I've started a GoFundMe. So if you'll just click on Help the Children and donate $1 or $5, 10 or 100 or 1,000, whatever, we're going to be giving these books out to disadvantaged children, hopefully change the trajectory of their life, make their life better. Many of these people I write about came from very, very poor backgrounds, and I did too. And it's just a matter of what you learn and what you do, what happens to you.
Couldn't agree more. Well, thank you for writing it. Greatly appreciate you, and the fact that you have such a passion and purpose to help, obviously, anybody, but certainly the youth of this country who need some good guidance and mentorship. And so that's a wonderful thing you're doing. So make sure, Triple P Nation, you go out and support Dennis on his goal of getting this book into the school systems, because as I've often mentioned, that is certainly one of my goals as well too, because you can change a life dramatically if you can teach these lessons, these success habits early on in their educational process, because it just gets downloaded into their subconscious mind. It gets hardwired and it just becomes a part of them, and they have it and they can use it for the rest of their life to lean into when needed, but most importantly, to reflect back upon as they experience their own challenges and struggles. So, Dennis, once again, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Wish you all the best moving into the new year. Happy, healthy holidays, and of course, 2025.
Thank you, Jay. I really appreciate you having me, and good luck to everyone who's watching.
Thank you. So, Triple P Nation, as I always say, you be you. Just be the best you. And I promise you will always empower your dreams, ignite your passion, and accelerate your prosperity. Until next week, be well.